Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me for another Sims 3 speed video in Sunset Valley today, where I am building an exclusive lounge. I was going to say an exclusive lounge. I'm building an exclusive lounge, and this is behind the bistro on a new lot that I made in Creator World. This lot here, I kind of went back and forth a little bit, and you can see in the shell that I'm constructing. Initially I was going to do like another rooftop kind of bar thing, and so I initially made the building quite tall. Excuse me, I made it quite tall, but I do change it back to just be a two-story building, which you would have seen in the initial panning shot. But this is kind of just to give you an idea of what I experimented with. I decided that I didn't want there to be more than one rooftop bar anyway. I wanted the rooftop bar to be quite exclusive and unique, and that to be the gimmick of the bar, if you will. But you can see what I was doing here, and it didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. I thought about having like a mansard roof with an exposed, I guess, kind of balcony area, but it just wasn't coming together the way I wanted it to, and then I just decided that 2 stories would be better. And so you can see I'm doing the initial shell here, and this is pretty much how it stays, but I do shrink it down a little bit, make it a little bit more narrow. And of course I'm doing my usual roofline trick with a lot of the old buildings, which is just to make a freeze level, either wrap it with a fence or put on an interesting wall texture, and then kind of top it off with something else that makes it look more interesting, more fancy. And yeah, I mean, in terms of the order that I did things with this building, so I mean, I put the exterior kind of I guess the features together, and then I don't even bother with any recoloring until almost right to the very end. So I kind of just put the building together, and then I immediately start working on the interior. As you can see here, I'm starting on the floor plan. It is quite, I wouldn't say it's huge. I feel like it's just the right size where it does feel very grand. But it's not like overly big to the point where there's like massive open spaces or anything like that. It still has quite a, I guess, I wouldn't even call it cozy, but it's the right size. And it has kind of like an atrium style second story, where a lot of the second story overlooks the first floor. And yeah, I mean, it is, I guess, what do you call it? It's an exclusive lounge, so I mean, it's pretty fancy. It's very high end, and I wanted it to be a place for, your rich Sims or even celebrity Sims to come and at least have somewhere to go if they want to get away from those darn commoners. But yeah, so I mean, it's very high end. Gives off very luxurious vibes. I did a kind of mix of I guess classical features, because it is quite an old building, but then also some modern features as well, which I've been doing a lot lately, and I think I've just kind of gotten into this retro luxe kind of feel for architecture, well, not necessarily architecture, but interior design anyway. I do love the mixing of classical features with modern features, and yeah, I don't know, I've just been having a lot of fun with it lately. I am doing a build in The Sims 4 as well, so I started building in that game as well, and I do have another set of I guess unit or rentals that I've been working on, and I was working on that yesterday and today, and my goodness, I thought that The Sims 3 took a while for me to build, took a long time for me to build in, but I feel like The Sims 4 is worse in terms of how much time it takes me to actually do stuff in that game, because I mean, the benefit of The Sims 3 is having the color wheel and creator style, because you can kind of just dump all the furniture that you want. Like, you like the look of the furniture, so you just dump it, and then you can recolor it to however you like. Well, in The Sims 4, it's much more difficult for me anyway to color coordinate and kind of find the style of furniture that I like and the right swatch that I like. And then so I really do waste a lot of time, I feel, in that game, kind of going through the catalog and then just switching through swatches and going back and forth between color swatches because I can't decide on whether, you know, two different objects look good together. And then so I mean, I've already spent, I think, like an ungodly amount of time on these rentals, and they're not even finished yet. I think I've spent like 9 hours on them so far, kind of in between doing other things. Like, I've been getting up and having breaks, very few breaks, but I mean, I've been getting up and doing other stuff, but it just takes so long. But it might be because I haven't, like, I mean, in terms of building in The Sims 4, I'm not really that experienced with it. I'm more experienced with The Sims 2, and I guess now more with The Sims 3. But hopefully I get better with The Sims 4 in terms of becoming more efficient with that game. I mean, it would be good to get a better style in that game, because I do feel like I have a lot more to learn. I feel like I'm always learning anyway. Like, there's always times where I feel really confident with a build, and then I, look at it again a few months later and I think, what was I thinking? But I think that's just the natural journey of, I guess, creativity. And it's why I'm glad I never got a tattoo, because I just tend to change my mind so often, and then I'll be, really into something, and then later on down the track, I will not like it anymore. Doesn't always happen, but it does happen often enough for me to be wary of doing something like getting a tattoo. So yes, you can see the atrium is coming together, and there's like a little stage on the ground floor, and there's just going to be a piano, because I believe there is a pianist NPC that comes to play at exclusive lounges. So that's where the piano is going to be. I was thinking about making a performing space for this this lot here. I don't know if you can do it with vanilla band, or like the vanilla band gameplay where they can just play at any bar or any venue with a bar. I'm pretty sure it can only be at bar venues, but I believe, well, I know there is a mod that actually makes it so that you can kind of audition for gigs and play gigs on any community lot, I think, that at least has an NPC running it, or at least has an NPC there. So if it has a bartender, then you can audition for gigs and perform there. And I've used that mod. I'm pretty sure this is all modded behavior, but I've been able to perform at an exclusive lounge before, and it was kind of a bit awkward because the pianist was using the piano, and so I didn't really want to bother with that kind of quirk again. So I just have the piano here, and it's not a place to have gigs or anything like that. Now, there are two bars and bar objects in this build. So there's the main bar downstairs, and there is another bar upstairs. The bar upstairs is not a serviced bar like it's in the vanilla game. There's only two bars that I think you can put in a community lot that are actually serviced by NPCs, but I do have a mod that makes it so that you can turn any bar into a professional bar, and so I do suggest that mod. I could put it in the description if I remember to, but that's pretty much my intention for putting another bar upstairs, is so that I could use that mod. So there is a bartender upstairs as well as downstairs. And in terms of things to do at this lounge, there are a couple of pool tables. There's one downstairs, and then there's one upstairs in the sectioned off area. There is obviously drinking, there's music to dance, there is a photo booth, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So there's also like lots of places to sit and stuff. Now I've said before, like I do, like when I make my community lots, I do like them to have more or less a specific purpose. I don't really want to kind of cram 100 million, different activities in one lot. So I mean, this one here, you've got a couple of pool tables. I was thinking of doing like maybe an exclusive pool lounge, but pool tables take up a lot of space, so I would have had to make the building really big. But I mean, the pool tables are here, and then it's got the exclusive space upstairs. But yeah, I think it's just like it looks really nice. So it's got that going for it. So the color schemes, I'm doing like a gray, black, and kind of a washed out pink. But then I've also got some pink neon around the place. Not too much, but it's mostly where there's already kind of neon built into the objects, like if they're just there by coincidence and it has kind of like a neon feature to it, then I would add pink neon. And so with the bar here, I've kind of fused the drinks shelf with some cabinets and some upper cabinets as well, just so it looks more kind of built in and more fancy. I do try to make objects look as though they're more built into the place rather than just being a random item placed there. I just feel like it makes builds look a little more realistic, and yeah, it just looks nicer anyway. So yeah, here you can see I'm putting in some of the pink neon, and then we've got marble bench tops and the marble columns as well. Now the columns, initially when I was putting the columns in, you would have seen that I did single story columns, and then I was kind of getting annoyed with the gap in between two columns on two different floors. It's got that like floor gap, and it took me a while to realize that I could just make the columns 2-story columns. So in the end I came back and made them 2-story, which yeah, looks heaps better. And I like how you can see them on the ground floor, like they extend all the way up, just to kind of, I don't know, just adds some grand themes or vibes to the build. Now we're going with some bar tables, and I'm putting in some seating in the corner here, although this does change a teeny tiny bit in the final version of the build. Initially I made it like a corner seating area, but then I just get rid of the corner piece. And then I'm putting a side table here, or a sofa table with a nice little lamp on it, and now I'm coming and putting some pictures above the seating area. And these seats, I do think they go through one more color change before I settle on what I actually want them to be. And this venue also has a cloakroom, or yeah, I think it's more or less a cloakroom, but I've spoken about this before, especially with nightclub builds and things, I guess more high-end night venues or venues associated with nightlife. I do like to make little fake cloakrooms. That's actually what that room is. That's a closed off room is by the front door. So you'll see me put that together, and yeah, I just feel like it just adds a nice piece of realism, and it's also a good way to use space, even though it is a bit of a waste of space. But what I mean is that I've got this kind of side to the building where I wanted like a kind of a grander entryway where you had to walk through a hall to get to the main bar and stuff, but then it would have just left me with kind of weird spaces on either side of the hallway. So I turned one of the spaces into an area where the pool table is, and then the other space is a cloakroom. And that actually allowed me to kind of I guess fix the spacing where the bar is, the main bar anyway, because previously it wasn't really not previously, but when I was initially putting this build together, I realized that the bar wasn't really centered with the stage, which is what I wanted. It wasn't really even spacing with the columns either. So I mean, having this room here and extending it out by one tile meant that the bar spacing was more even. And yeah, this is basically the cloakroom here. I've got this ugly fabric on these sectional sofas, and I was just kind of tottering around with that and trying to figure out what I wanted, but then I settle on this fabric here, and I actually bring the fabric in here out to the sectional sofa in the main area, and I'm just playing around with some decorations for the cloakroom, you know, so it looks kind of like an area where Sims would actually go and pay to store their coats and stuff while they are out having fun. And yeah, so not much more to this room here. I'm just kind of putting in some lights, and yeah, I've pretty much moved on to the upstairs bar. There may have been more that I've done to that room. I can't quite remember exactly, but you will see the final details in the panning shots. So yeah, moving upstairs to the, I guess we'll call this the secondary bar. So the annoying thing with this bar here is that the bar that I use, because it's not one of the professional bars or the service bars, it doesn't really, like, I feel like it's hard to find bars that actually have counters that match with them. They don't really fit that well, at least from what I've noticed anyway. I might be using the wrong bar and counter combination, but it means that I have to get really finicky with the counters and then you know, play around, because I mean the textures, like the colors of the textures, don't really match, so I have to play around with that a lot, as well as the placement of the bar and stuff. And you'll notice, I mean, I noticed it when I was doing the panning shots, that the bar, even though I do kind of attempt to color correct the bar to the counters, the bar ends up being starkly different to the counters with the lights on, and I couldn't be bothered fixing it. I was just like, whatever, it is what it is, so I just left it, and you'll notice that in the panning shots, but it is weird and annoying. Now I'm moving on to this kind of recreation area. Well, it's just like an area with the pool table up here. I'm putting in some sofas, some areas for Sims to sit and chat, and I'm going with some more classic styled furniture here that I recolor. And then we're putting in a coffee table as well. I don't think I do anything with this coffee table. Well, I recolor it, but I don't put anything on it. I think I just leave it empty. The other coffee table I do put something on. And yeah, so again, going with this more like classical modern style, where I feel like the coloring and the textures are more modern, and then we've got this kind of modern ceiling light. The pool table looks quite modern, but then the furniture is really classical, and the curtains as well. The bar is a bit of a mix between modern and classic. So yeah, really digging that retro luxe look, and adding in a couple of lamps. And now I am moving on to some ceiling lights for above this bar up here. And I don't know if I actually show it, but the bar stools I definitely recolor. I mean, I go upstairs and do, well, I'm still upstairs. I do all the recolors eventually, and then I think I know I definitely forget to recolor the bar stools, but I come back and do those at the very end, but I'm just not sure if I have any footage of that, but of course you'll see that in the panning shots. Now I'm doing the upstairs bathroom, and yeah, again going for some luxurious vibes here. So we've got a really fancy toilet, a pedestal sink as well. Pretty sure the toilet and the sink came from Supernatural. Going with a mirror, and yeah, it's I mean it's a fancy public bathroom. Well, it's not really a public bathroom, but it's a bathroom at a venue. So very simple. I mean, yeah, bathrooms are bathrooms. Not really that interesting to talk about. I just had to go and turn off my washing machine because it started going through a spin cycle. And my microphone definitely picks it up, because I have heard it before when I thought my microphone wouldn't pick it up, and it actually did. So if you started hearing something, then yeah, that's just my washing machine. So here is the upstairs corridor, and I mean, I always have trouble just decorating corridors. I just find them really uninteresting. And I just, yeah, I don't know what, it's a real struggle for me. I don't really do much more than what you would have seen just there. Now I'm coming and recoloring the upstairs bar. You can see here with the bar object that I just had to play around with the color a bit, so it blended more with the counters, or the island counters. But yeah, I still had the issue where I was going through doing the panning shots, and then the bar object was just super bright compared to the island cabinets, which was really frustrating. So now I'm coming and recoloring the furniture. And the styles I'm doing for the recolors is that for the main sofas, I've got this kind of bold pattern, not necessarily a bold color, but I guess more of like a statement pattern on the sofa. And then the chairs that surround it are just kind of plainly recolored. They're not necessarily statement. So yeah, I think it stands out more on the bigger sofa there, but yeah, I feel like that looks pretty cool. And I've also got that statue in the corner there, and now I'm just coming and placing a tray with some drinks on it. So yeah, very, very exciting there. And now I'm working on the downstairs bathrooms. And again, these are just pretty simple bathrooms, but you know, I did want to kind of tie in the theme that was around the rest of the build. So going for the classic luxe look, so I've got this kind of old-fashioned looking wallpaper, old-fashioned sinks that kind of ties in with more of a modern, in my opinion, more of a modern color scheme, so very muted colors. And yeah, all very exciting. Just putting in a towel rail here and recoloring that. And now I am also going to put in a few more kind of like bathroom clutter items. I think just like a bin eventually. I don't know if I put the plungers in here though. Although I feel like they would look a bit out of place in like a high-end venue, you know, if you go to a toilet and then there's like a plunger next to it. That just, I mean, it's kind of to compensate for the fact that there's no toilet brushes in this game, and I don't play with any custom content. Usually when I play with custom content in The Sims 3, one of the first things I download is toilet brushes, because I just feel like they're a necessary feature of a bathroom. So yeah, I'm just adding the toilet paper and a couple of trash cans. But yeah, toilet brushes are definitely my go-to when I do download custom content for The Sims 3. I tend to go for more of the realistic feature, you know, objects that the game is definitely missing. So like light switches, toilet brushes, coat racks. I think there's only one coat rack in this entire game, and it's from the store. And you can't recolor the clothes on it. You can only recolor the actual pole. I don't know, whatever it's called. So it's a bit frustrating, but I'm just grateful that I have my clutter plunger that can act as a like pseudo toilet brush. Well, it kind of serves the same purpose. It looks like a toilet accessory, I don't know. But so now I am working on recoloring the exterior here. And yeah, I saved it to the very end of the build, and it's more of a beige, kind of, I guess, plaster texture on the front of the building, and then the rest of the building is going to be a brick, and it's got these nice outlines. I really do like using this barn wall to, you know, recolor and create like I guess features with outlines, like wall features with outlines. It's really nice to use that for. Going and recoloring the windows, and then I'm putting an awning on the front here, and it's kind of got that washed out kind of pink look to it that is found throughout a lot of the interior of the build. And now I'm going and continuing to recolor some windows. Now I'm actually going to start working on the landscaping and the surrounding of the build. This here was really, really difficult. I don't know, I need to kind of brush up on my skills in this area, I think, because I kind of put it together and then I called it a day, and I was actually going to start doing, you know, the panning shots and whatever, and I just looked at it and I was like, I'm really not liking it. It just looks so just weird. And I just think this is another one of those things where I kind of struggle with, you know, when I do any build or whatever, I just struggle to figure out how I'm actually going to do the exterior of the build and its surroundings without it looking either too basic or just too weird. I do like them to look kind of realistic, like proper street fronts and all that, but sometimes I just really fail at it, and I kind of did when I initially finished at this build here. And so I have another go at it, and I mean, I like it more than what I did initially to finish it up, but or initially for the exterior, but I don't know, yeah, definitely a skill I need to touch up on, and I think I can only do that with more practice and I guess looking for more inspiration. So yeah, we've just got some parking spaces out the back here, and I've got some hedged off sections, which I believe these two stay, but I do kind of do a bit more with the space directly behind the building, and then putting in some ornamental pear trees. I kind of wanted to do some taller trees to cover up the blank wall, but yeah, I felt like, you know, other trees just kind of clipped into the wall too much, or they weren't lush enough. So yeah, just stick with the ornamental pear trees, and now I'm putting in the photo booth here and just recoloring it so that it is a little more appropriate with the rest of the color schemes that I've chosen for this building here, and recoloring the curtain so it's got kind of like a funky pattern on it, and then getting rid of this kind of orange and yellow geometric pattern here with more of a darker metal here. And now we are going to move back to the exterior. So I've got these potted trees out here, and I really do like these, but I wanted, because I mean, this is a building where I'm going to start, it's kind of close to the town center. So I'm going to start thinking about how I actually want the exteriors of builds to look in the town center. I want them to all kind of tie together and look, I guess, more cohesive and not so random. I do like I mean, this might be a bit controversial, but I do kind of like the Maxis landscaping outside of the lot with the cinema and the bookstore and all that. So I might just go through and tidy that up a little bit to be more cohesive with what I'm doing here, but in the end, I do kind of like that look with the, you know, the tree guards that are just made from fences, the wrought iron fence, and some nice kind of basic bushes, but also some green spaces as well. I feel like it looks really nice, so I will try and emulate that, but also tidy it up a little bit and, you know, make it look a little nicer, whatever that might mean. Here's me complaining that I can't really do landscaping, but yeah, whatever that may be. But yeah, so what I've got here is the tree guards. I've also done like a little decorative thing with the pavement here, and I've just moved the trees so that they line up with the rest of the trees for the building. And yeah, this looks, I think, much more tidier than what I left it with, and yeah, that's pretty much the end of the build. So we are now looking at the panning shots. I'm going to leave you to enjoy these. This building, let me tell you what it's called. Oh, it's called the Secret Sipper. And it is available to download. The link is in the description. So yeah, I will let you go and say thanks so much for watching. As always, it's a pleasure to bring these to you. Yeah, I will talk to you later.